Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to build the catch can for the Del Sol project. And I have my aluminum sheet metal here, as well as a bag full of bungs and a couple of fittings from Jegs. So, I dimensioned the rough size that the catch can needs to be, and it will be located back in this corner. I looked at a couple of other options as far as locations are concerned, and that ended up being by far the best option as far as serviceability and fitting everything in the engine bay the way that I would like it to. So these pieces of sheet metal, most of them will work out fine, but I will have to make the can on, let me set these down, a little bit of an angle. So the bulkhead for the wiring down here where my finger is, I'll have it come down and slope towards the center line of the car just to provide a little bit more space for the wiring harness and make everything fit a little bit more happily there. So I'll grab the sheet that I drafted the dimensions out on, and I can start marking out these pieces of sheet metal where they will need to be cut to fit properly in the space that we are putting the catch can. So let me go grab that sheet and we can start drafting on the actual pieces of aluminum and get well on our way to being able to weld this catch can up. Alright, after I made my cuts on the sides of the tank, we can see how they fit now. So, with this angle cut onto it, you can see that there's plenty of clearance to the wiring harness there, and to the AC fittings there, and obviously the fuse box where my hand was resting on. So, everything fits up well, and I can go ahead and I can prep the surface on the sides and the outside of the fuse box facing side of the tank. I can tack those together, and then it will be time to figure out where I'm going to place the two inlet fittings and the drain fitting. Alright, we have the catch can all fabricated and the first 4 welds done on it. So I have the 2 stacks that the filters will sit on. I have the 2 inlets, and on the bottom side I have the drain. So all of these are ORB bungs, which what that means is the fittings are O-ring sealed as opposed to being an NPT that is tapered and kind of jams the fitting hopefully sealed, which they don't always seal the best. So now that we have it to this point, I'm waiting for it to cool down for a few minutes, and then I will come in and weld each of the side panels on and go ahead and weld all of the ancillary bits to it, the inlets, the outlets, the stacks, so on and so forth. And at that point, the catch can will be complete aside from mounting, and we can examine how we're going to mount it at that point. So I'll let it cool, then get back to welding, and before long we'll have a catch can that's completed and located in the engine bay of the Del Sol. And now that we have all the welding completed for the catch can, I put it back in the engine bay, and let's take a look at how it ended up. So it sits up in this corner and fills the void between the fuse box and the AC lines, as we said, and all is well with it. I have the two ORB fittings in the inlet side. You can't see it right now, obviously, but I do have the drain fitting, or the drain plug rather, in the bottom side of it. Have our two stubs sticking off the top of it for filters, and all is well. So the last thing to do with it before the catch can is complete and it can house lines and do its job as a catch can is to mount it. And in looking around, I have, there's one bolt hole here where my middle finger is. There's a couple of holes down on the frame rail. I believe a couple of them are threaded. And I will also put a rib nut in the firewall right there. So when I mount these, I like to do 3 mounts or 3 points of contact with them. That way it's in a roundabout way triangulated, and you can't have the catch can drumming around or rattling or doing anything along those lines. So that will be a job for tomorrow. So I will come in tomorrow morning and we can start knocking out the mounts for the catch can and get this thing all wrapped up and move on to other portions of the project. Hey everyone, back today to finish up the Del Sol's catch can. So I have my piece of strip stock. It's 1 inch wide, 1/8 inch thick, and 36 inches long. And obviously we won't be using all 3 feet of it to build the mounting tabs, but that is what we're going to be doing today. So if you remember yesterday, we ended up at this point where the catch can is all fabricated, all welded, all that. And it is now time to mount it into the engine bay of the car. So I'm going to start today off by drilling a hole in the Del Sol, but it's a necessity to mount this thing up. So we're going to have 3 points of contact, one on the firewall, one on the tower, and then one down on the frame rail. So this one on the firewall, I think I'm going to put the rib nut either hedging towards this fuse box side or towards the middle of the catch can, wherever I can easily get my rib nut tool in. And then the other ones will fall where they fall due to the location of the holes. So I will start by getting that firewall one mounted in there, or get the hole mounted in, rib nut mounted in, and we can move on to the other two from there. now we have my least favorite part of building catch cans complete. We have it nicely mounted in there. One lower mount, one upper mount, one middle mount, and this thing is super solid. I can pretty much just about shake the car off of the jack stands and the race ramps with just the catch can. So that's all done. We have our nice green filters on top of it as well, all the fittings in place, and it is ready for lines. However, the valve cover is not. So that's going to be the next portion of this video, and we are going to put these two male number 10 bungs likely on the back side of the valve cover here. Because on the front side, it would add unnecessary length to the lines, and it wouldn't look quite as clean with the catch can being mounted up there as it would if we put the fittings on the back side of the valve cover. So we will go ahead, pull the valve cover off, and mark out where the holes need to be drilled for these two fittings, get the holes punched, get the valve cover prepped, weld those in, and then the breather system will be ready for lines at that point. Underneath the valve cover, we still have the baffle in place, so I am going to come in and drill all of these, I guess, rivets, for lack of a better description, out, pull the baffle out. I can do all of my catch can modifications and then put the baffle back in place. And I generally like to do this when I'm putting breather fittings in a valve cover if I can. That way you aren't pumping the catch can immediately full of blow by, and makes for a little bit cleaner, nicer way to do it. So I will go ahead and drill all of those mushroom heads out of there, and then we can get going on putting those breather fittings in. With the completion of the valve cover, the dirtiest part of the breather system is complete. So have our two breather fittings on the valve cover here, and they will have lines that run from those two ports to the two ports on the catch can. So I did off camera clean the valve cover out very, very well before I put the baffle back in, and all that is squared away and ready to go. So not the prettiest thing in the world right now, as I had to take a bit of the paint or powder coat off of the valve cover to weld the fittings on, but they can get it repowder coated whatever color they would like, and all will be well there. So I think that is going to wrap it up for this video. The next video we likely will move on to some of the cooling system stuff, so that'll be pretty cool and something to look forward to. But until then, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys then.